Welcome back, Officers of the Republic. Is your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief APGAINS here, and I have a special guest, easily top one in terms of most beautiful Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes players of all time. We got EndallBeall. Of course, he's going to be, all the links to his stuff are going to be in the chat, so make sure you go check him out. He's my hero. Him and Fort Mort taught me everything that I know about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, so you know he's got to be a smart guy, because, you know, I'm the smartest Galaxy of Heroes player of all time, as you guys know. We are going to talk about teams that you should be avoiding. Now, EndallBeall, you are 7.2 million GP, correct?
That is correct. I've been playing the game for about 4 years, 4 or 5 years. Joined about a year after the game started, and I'm about 7.2 million GP. So almost late game, I would say.
I'll call that late game. I call anything later than my account late game, just out of jealousy. But I think he's in a special place to talk about teams to avoid, because if you've ever seen any of his videos, you know, I don't know if you even know this, you won the Cup Award about 6 months ago for best GAC player. So, you know, congratulations, late news. I'll get you your trophy. But if you've ever watched any of his videos, he has what I call the X factor in GAC, is where he doesn't have a super whale account. You know, he doesn't spend tons of money. He said maybe about 100 or a couple hundred a year.
That's right.
So he's not a heavy spender. Yeah. He doesn't have all the trinkets at maxed out Relic 8, all of that nonsense. But he always gets the job done somehow. So he's very much min-maxed his roster in an efficient way to make sure that when he goes up against these players who have, you know, the highest end trinkets and all of this stuff, he can still come out on top. So I brought him in to talk about teams that you want to avoid. Are you ready, my man?
Yep. Let's go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to start the first one off. Anyone who knows APGAINS knows that I hate the Phoenix with a burning passion, almost an irrational hatred for these guys. Just because of all the dirtiness they did to me in the very early game a couple years ago. Yes, Phoenix is technically needed for Thrawn, so before you guys go out there in the comment section say, but APGAINS, Thrawn's a top 10 plug-and-play character. Are you so amazing? Oh my god. You can have him at low gear at some point. You shouldn't be your first team. If they're your first team, you're already behind. You can pick them up easy. Most of them are farmed in like shard shop, or not shard shop, but shipment currency and stuff like that. So you can pick them up late game. And, you know, get them eventually. Avoid them in the early game. All right, so now we're going to go into Night Sisters. You want to talk about Night Sisters real quick? Definitely a team that you're going to want late game, but early game, do we skip them?
Yeah, I would say you would, Night Sisters is one of those which you can definitely skip. They're not really required for getting any late game character, so that really cancels them out of that category. And even in late game, you find the high-end players using less and less of Night Sisters. These days, there are so many characters who can prevent revives that Night Sisters are really not that useful on offense anymore, and they really don't hold on defense because there's so many counters to them. In addition, you know, in a grand arena match where efficiency is becoming all the more important, Night Sisters have no way of recovering protection. That also, you know, brings them down a notch. So I would say definitely Night Sisters are not as crucial as they used to be.
Yeah, so Night Sisters definitely a team that you can skip early game. Of course, as you guys know, I had an old collector's account. They were my my passion project. I really loved it. You know, I was always playing with Nikki Big. She'd always call Mother the Mother Lady. So near and dear to my heart, but definitely a team that you can skip. Next, we're going to go over the next couple ones pretty quickly just because we have some spicy teams that I think you guys might disagree with, but I think we might be able to win you over. Some GLs, some pretty high-end, powerful teams. I think you guys are going to like it. Murder Bears, I'm going to quickly go over them. You got to have them to unlock C-3PO. They're a necessary team. Do you want to be like not sure and go Relic Ewoks? You want to be like some guys from my old guild who had super high Relic Ewok Elders? No, that's a complete waste of resources. If you got money to spend and you love your Ewoks, why not? If you want to be an efficient, mostly free-to-play player, Ewoks you can kind of keep at low gear. Follow the APGAINS approved Ewok Unlock Guide, the greatest Ewok Unlock Guide of all time. All right, next we got the Roaches, the Geonosians. Everyone knows, who at least watches me, knows that I hate these guys so much. Every time I hear Watt Ready Geos, I almost jump out of the window. Can you explain to me why the Geonosians are not necessarily as good in the early game as a lot of people like to think, especially now that we've got a couple of key updates?
Yeah, I mean, Geonosians, yeah, it's, you know, they are really not that great at this stage. Again, you know, very difficult, just like Night Sisters, to recover banners. You've got you know, tons of characters who can very easily take care of Geos. A lot of characters, newer characters that are coming out are anti-assist based characters. So like Padme, for example, they can take care of Geos pretty easily, and Geos really can't do anything much against them. Vader, a single character that most people can unlock and should unlock at an early enough stage. He can just demolish Geos with just one or two characters. So really, they don't pull their weight anymore. And there are very few teams which are out there which only Geos can take out, or Geos are great at taking out. There are always much better solutions which are also required in other areas of the game. So I would say, low priority on the Geos.
Yeah, and you're going to see videos out there of, Geos beat this, Geos beat that. Check the mods, check the full Relic 7, Relic 8 on Spy. Yes, a fully Relic 7, 8 team can beat a lot of stuff. Is this a team you want to put those resources into? Absolutely not. The Geos suck, and if I ever see Watt-ready Geos in my comment section again, I'm deleting my YouTube channel. We're moving on. This is something that I want you to talk about. Actually, I'm going to pull up two. It's going to be a couple of Scoundrels who you can be, especially you, can be quite crafty with in the later stage of the game. We got Vandors and the young guys and a lot of Scoundrels, maybe even some of the BAM guys. And then I'm just going to throw in all of the terrible requirements for the Revens. You guys understand that these are not good characters. We're going to gloss over them. The Scoundrels. You're a master at getting stuff done with unusual characters. Explain why these aren't characters that you necessarily need super early, though.
Yeah, these are all luxury characters, and when Clash used to be around, he used to put all these videos out, which really pump up the Scoundrels, and they can do magical things if you have them relicked up and all that. But when you've got Stormtrooper Han relicked up at Relic 5, yes, he does amazing jobs with his Zeta, but is he really essential to a team comp that can do amazing things? No. I mean, young Han, young Lando, or the Hoth guys, Captain Han Solo or Rebel Officer Leia Organa. All these guys are really not going to get you anything. They're all characters which really don't do anything amazing. There's nothing in their kit which really wows you. Some of them used to be required in some very niche counters in the past, but at this stage, I would put my weight on newer characters. Some of the newer kits being released, they do way more exciting things like the Bad Batch and all that. And I would focus on those characters, and not some of the older characters whose kits might be outdated by this stage.
Yeah, I really, and you guys, if you guys have ever seen my stream, I talk about the Scoundrels all the time. I oftentimes equate, especially these particular ones that we talked about, to myself at a young age. Yes, my parents would come to me and say, APGAINS, you can do certain things, but if I want something amazing done, if I need great results, I'm not looking in your direction, kid. I know you're cute. I know well, when I was young, I was probably 4'7". Now I'm 5'3". I know you're going to be a tall boy one day, but right now, just not necessarily the right squad to throw in. We're going to move on. We talked about a lot of these guys already, so I'm going to pass over. For you, you can't see my screen, but I got Han, the Hoth guys and stuff like that. I don't think much needs to be said about Rogue One. You shared a funny anecdote about dropping a nice pack on the Rogue One guys. I used to love throwing them on defense. I think we can agree they're not necessarily the best team in the game, and I think we can avoid them. So we'll move on to maybe some more spicy stuff. The Jawas, the Brown Boys. You've seen some good stuff happen with Jawas. Are these characters that you need to have geared up? Another Geonosian counter, another assist counter. Terrible banners. You like Jawas, right? Tell me you love the Jawas.
Oh, my Jawas are G9, G8 probably, and they're good for absolutely nothing in the game. You might see some really, unique videos of, Ray with Jawas getting holes or confusing a content creator. But Jawas are bad. Don't get them. There's really nothing that they have going for them. Way back a long time ago, when I initially started playing, Jawas were needed to get a particular mod set. I think it was either critical damage or some sort of mod sets. But I don't think you need to focus any energy or time on Jawas anymore.
Yeah. They are pretty cute, though. Do we know what they look like? Oh, I've spoiled the surprise! Rey, Jedi Master Luke. This is where we're going to upset a couple of people, and I want to hear what you have to say. And I think the people don't want to hear what I have to say because it's not going to be very friendly. In terms of, let's say you're starting a new account, you got some depth, you're not necessarily rushing a GL, but you're considering Rey or JML over maybe SLKR, who I would say was better, C, who I'd say is better. Kenobi, I'd say, is better. You know, Vader, we'll talk about him at the very end. Spoiler alert, don't go for Vader. But Rey and JML, talk to me about if you had to go with one of these two, who would it be? And then after you explain that, tell me why you should go for neither of these first.
So if you're a new player, the requirements that you have for JML are extremely expensive. You need Wampa and Hoda, which are both get characters that you need to be doing hot TV for a while for. So that's one level of expense that you have to get JML. You need Jedi Knight Luke as well, who is also an amazing character but extremely expensive and unobtainable for a lot of early and mid game players as well, because getting him also requires a lot of investment. I would say that when JML came out, he was sort of like a gift from CG to the veteran community, players who have been playing for a while, who had already had these characters developed up. For them, it made a lot of sense to go for JML. But for people who don't have a lot of those requirements, who are early to mid game players, I would actually choose Rey over JML, just because the requirements for Rey are a little less steep as compared to JML, and especially with these new changes which are coming in. That they are planning to put in, Rey is going to become even more tougher on defense, on offense. She's having some of her properties changed. The counters to her are all getting nerfed. So Rey is actually going to become a pretty formidable GL. I think from the early GL, she's probably the one of the stronger ones in my opinion going forward after the changes come in. So definitely Rey over JML.
Yeah, and just to hammer that home, a lot of people come to me and they say, I'm a JML rush. I really like Luke. I like these characters, but I also think this is going to be a good team. The proposition that I put forward, the value proposition, is you get your Wampa and your Hoda, you're avoiding your Gas and your Malak. I think you would agree that those characters are definitely better than Wampa and Hoda, but it's okay. They're requirements for GL, so I can understand that. But also, you might have to do a couple of light side Hoths just to get your Rolo shards, especially if you're an early player. You're sacrificing, maybe you're not in a light side GOTB, but maybe you could potentially, you're a 2 million player. You got a light side GOTB. You're sacrificing Get To maybe to finish off your Negotiator, start farming your Malevolence, or even start your first Get To ship. So there's so many things that you have to give up to go for him, especially early. Like you said, he was a gift. Capital Games, we need more gifts. I'm not a veteran player, but I need a Crumb. Shout out to my boy Crumb. Guys in the comments, we should have our Crumb interview ironed out for the next couple of days, so look forward to that. Where would you put Rey, though? We're going to exclude Kenobi and Lord Vader. The requirements require Relic 8s, and they're quite steep. So we can agree JML is probably at the bottom between C, SOKR, Rey. Assuming the update has gone live at the moment of this, it should go live for us Monday. This video might come out after that. I'm not sure how it'll fit in my upload schedule. Between those three, who you got as the best, middle, and worst of those three?
I would put SLKR as the first, even though nobody keeps him on defense anymore, and from a GSC and PvP perspective, he's really not that great. But if you take a look at all aspects of the game that he shines in, your Sith raid, for example, and Dark Side TB, and a few other aspects, I think SLKR. He probably, from an all-round perspective, he might have a little bit more of a higher preference. Otherwise, I would say, Rey is also pretty good if you're keeping them on defense. Mm-hmm. On offense, I would say C is no doubt the best GL because especially with the new Jedi GLs coming out, both JML as well as JKL. In the future, I think Rey as well. C is one GL that if you get, you will have an answer to all these three strong light side GLs, which is a great thing to have in your roster. So from an all-round perspective, I think it's SLKR. But if you are if you have very few GLs to choose from and you need an answer to some of the other GLs that your opponent has, then C I think is one of the more amazing GLs on offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely put C. I still hold SLKR at the top. I sometimes find my confidence in him wavering the more GACs I watch and other people not necessarily utilizing him in the correct way. I think the fact that C, will counter a GL. Let's say you have a GL, your opponent has a GL, just one GL. That if they place it on defense, you have a higher likelihood of being able to counter it with C, and the team itself doesn't require a ton. You throw in Watt, or maybe you throw in armor, or maybe you throw in Watt and armor, it doesn't require like, the bros plus, a Jedi training Rey and like a steep requirement that could be an entirely other team by itself. So I still put Rey, I guess, 3, but we're going to go down into some upsetting territory. So before we do, when we talk about these, if you guys disagree, I want you guys to go into the comments and I will fight you tooth and nail to defend my opinion, because at the end of the day, when the sun sets, I am the biggest brain Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes YouTuber, and I can never be wrong. And all the thousands of you could not possibly have a smarter collective being. Obviously, I'm joking. I put in Shaak Ti clones. You put in another team that'll be interest people. So I'm going to quickly talk about Shaak Ti clones. You can avoid these guys until maybe the mid-game, maybe the late game. They are a fantastic team, not necessarily with Shock. You need them, now that Bad Batch is better. Maybe there's an argument for which Bad Batch accelerated rate. You get these guys a lot later for Cam specifically. But you got to have the clones for gas. But you're not going to get gassed a little bit later. So this is a team you can avoid for quite a while. They're not great for offensive banners on offense. And on defense, they're countered easily by Padme and stuff like that. So while this is a fantastic team, you can avoid these guys till a little bit later. I see a lot of people go for this team early and then kind of shudder when they realize that maybe on offense or defense, they're not quite the effective, efficient team in the very early game that they thought. So yeah, that's how I feel about Shaak Ti. You're going to need them, but in the early game, you can kind of avoid them a little bit. Do you have any pushback? We didn't discuss too much if you have a dissenting opinion, but I will give you as the master, I will give you the last nod here. Do you agree with what I said? Do you have any pushback? Do you think you got to get them early, wait a little bit? What do you got?
Well, I agree. I mean, clones are great, but, gas is what really makes clones shine. So, get the fiber first, get gas first, and then focus on putting a little gear and relic on your clones. I would definitely say, that's the right approach.
All right, now it's time for your submission, and this one is going to upset people. And a certain friend of yours, maybe Zareth, might be in the comment section with a little bit of a dissenting opinion. We're going to scroll down here. We got General Grievous droids. Would you like to explain your rationale? And you kind of convinced me a little bit. I really like this team, but you have a smooth way with words. Have you ever considered politics?
All right. So I think Grievous also is another one of those squads where it's not really essential early to mid game, because Grievous and Separatist droids as a squad, they really shine when Grievous is relicked up. And and high relics, not just R0, R1, R5 at least is where Grievous really starts becoming a problem. For mid to early game players, I think getting relics itself is a problem, and getting Grievous itself through the shard shop. Shard shop currency is extremely expensive at an early enough stage. It becomes cheaper much later. So for both these reasons, for getting Grievous itself and for the fact that you need to get him to high relics to be effective. For those reasons, I would also suggest, keeping these Separatist droids on the back burner, at least until you get to mid to late game.
Yeah, and something that a lot of people who follow my free-to-play farming strategy are going to recognize quite early with General Grievous is he's countered quite easily by a character that a lot of early game players are going to have at relics, the Jedi Knight Revan team. It's kind of bad, let's say you have an R0 or, even an R5 Grievous. There was an era where Grievous was, king, and then counter started coming out, and we realized that Jedi Knight Revan is such a great counter. If your Jedi Knight Revan is super weak and they got full Relic 7s, maybe think about it a little bit. But if you can't commit to a full powerful GG team, an early game team is going to blow it out of the water like Jedi Revan. You agree, at least?
Yeah, Jedi Revan and even undergeared cheap Night Sisters. It gets dicey, but it gets the job done sometimes. So yeah, there are quite a few early game counters to Grievous.
And I think that's kind of a similar situation. Just realizing this now as the Shaak Ti team I laid out. If you get them super relic, they're great, but you can go against it with a weaker. For Shaak Ti, it's going to be like a weaker Padme team. A lot of my experiences, especially in Arena, in kind of the 1 to 2 million range when I was farming at my main account, was taking my weaker Padme against full relic Shaak Tis. And when I saw a Shaak Ti team, I was excited because Padme can't beat super highly relicked Padme mirror matches where you're outclassed, or super strong Darth Revans, or even Jedi Knight Revans who counter Padme quite well, not necessarily with the AI, but with the player playing. So I think that's a thing that both of these teams have in common. Are these teams great in the end game? I think you will agree. These are both fantastic squads in the later game, clones with gas, or Shakti and General Grievous. But hopefully Zareth doesn't see this and doesn't fight us, because I know he loves his early game General Grievous. But yeah, I think hopefully we persuaded you guys. I mean, we are quite regal gentlemen. We are smooth-tongued silver snake speakers. Thank you so much for being on. Hopefully this is a video people enjoy. Hopefully you come back for more, because I'm a huge fan, and I imagine my subscribers will be huge fans as well. Any closing remarks for the 69th precinct, the greatest precinct in all of the Coruscant underworld?
Thanks for having me. This is a great discussion. Looking forward to more collaborations in the future as well, and maybe having you on my channel sometime.
I would love that. I love making guest appearances. I feel like it's the celebrity dream that I never got to live as a not famous child actor. But we all got to have that one thing that keeps us going. And unfortunately, I promised I'd do this terrible outro to the people on stream. So my usual outro, I don't know if you know, is I usually say, "Oh, as always, guys, I love you, and I'll see you later." And then begrudgingly, I must drop this smooth pickup line, the official pickup line of the Coruscant underworld. The sun doesn't shine in the underworld, but you sure do, baby girl. Kiss you on the forehead. See you later. That was terrible. I'm leaving the part where I said that's terrible into the outro, just to let the people from the stream know that I hated that with every fiber of my being. All right, guys, I'll see you guys later.